score for that last one, giving you just a little more time. So our next presenter is Pete Malcolm, who is the CEO of Abiquo, who was here last time. So Peter, the stage is yours.
Thank you. It wasn't me here last time, but I think it was 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Wow.
Okay, which way's forward? That way. Okay, what do? We do enterprise cloud management. What does that mean? It means transforming virtualized environments, that's hypervisor-based virtualized environments, into globally managed clouds. Or you could call that virtualization 2.0. Okay, simple as that. So why is this necessary? Well, because virtualization 1.0 has a number of issues. It solved a huge number of problems, things like resilience and portability and all that kind of stuff. But as those environments have grown, a whole bunch of issues that you see behind me here have come up. And just to highlight a couple of those, security, compliance, governance is a gigantic issue. Vendor lock-in is a gigantic issue. And virtualization 1.0 really has not delivered on the cost savings that it was intended to do. And you can see that from the graph there, where you see the utilizations before we had virtualization, then the improvements that have been made by virtualization. But you can see the yellow bar is, or the orange bar is, where the industry would like to be at 70% utilization and is miles away. And why do these things happen? They happen because humans make the decisions about, they make the provisioning decisions, and they make decisions about where in the physical infrastructure the virtual assets go. That's the problem. So how does Abiquo solve this problem? Well, all of those little points you've got there, but basically there are 3 clear areas that we look at. The first is the management of the physical infrastructure, which is a fluid infrastructure, might come from data centers that you own locally, might come from remote data centers around the globe. You might buy it from a hosting provider. You might ultimately get it from an Amazon or a Microsoft Azure. That is your resource, and that all contributes to a thing we call the resource cloud. And on the other side of that, the next piece is the consumers of that cloud, which we call virtual enterprises. And virtual enterprises are autonomous units that are able to self-provision in seconds and rewire effectively their virtual data centers, have complete control of the environment to do whatever they want without having physical hardware to maintain. And tying those two together is what we call business policy, which deals with the issues of compliance and governance and utilization so that those users never actually get near the physical hardware. All that is automated according to our policy. So who is our target market for this? It's the enterprises. We believe they are the really large market here. They are only just in their infancy at getting into this area, but there is massive interest and deployments beginning. And secondly, the service providers, and the service providers gain from getting a new thing to sell. They get to sell a virtual enterprise, which the customers really like, and at the same time, they reduce their costs because they don't have to provision any of the virtual assets. The system does that for them, so they lower their costs. What's our business model? Well, we have these various channels to market. As the previous speaker said, as a startup, you have to consider a whole pile of different ways to go to market. But clearly, direct sales, as he talked about, missionary sales is what you have to do first of all. That's how you have to establish your beachhead accounts. Abiquo has done that, as you'll see in a moment. And then it's through distribution channels and partners and system integrators. We will also consider and, in fact, have a number of OEM relationships coming up. And we also have an open source version of the product, too, which is really for viral marketing purposes. So if you have a smaller installation, you can do this for free. What's our revenue model? It's an annual fee based on the number of hypervisor hosts you put into that resource cloud, in other words, the number of things we manage. Very simple, intended to be understood by anybody. Why will we win? For 2 major reasons. Both the company has both great technology, but it also has a big, deep understanding of the enterprise marketplace. A lot of us came from previous startups that ran and worked for big enterprise companies. And we have a great product which has all of those attributes there, really features that are there today, whereas the competitors are talking about features they will have sometime in the future. We actually deliver what we say. And lastly, we have a killer UI, which I'll show you just a couple of screenshots from, which makes this very easy for the users to use. It's a drag and drop operation. You want to deploy a new virtual machine or new virtual storage, drag it and drop it, hit the launch button, you're done. Another example there of, this is the physical machine management side, managing data centers around the globe. Who do we do this for? There's a partial list of our customers, the ones that we're allowed to talk about. There's a bunch more. It's around 20 customers at varying scale, moving towards the thousands in some cases of host machines. Selected team members there. The clear point here is that we have team members who have real enterprise experience of selling software to big enterprise companies like the Goldmans and the Merrills of the world. So we really understand what it means to sell an enterprise product, what you have to do and put into an enterprise product to make it work for those sorts of guys. We also, at the bottom there, have hired talent from the newer, the virtualization companies. So 2 people at the bottom there we've hired from VMware, very senior people in VMware, who've recognized what we do and come to see it. And lastly, we have great board members. Bernard Liotode is the founder of Business Objects. He's on our board. What are we looking for? We're looking for partners. We're looking for distribution channels because there's a limit to how far we can scale in a direct model. Those are coming to us, but clearly we'd like more of them. And we'd like strategic introductions to those kind of things, and we would like to prepare for the next time we need funding. We're not seeking funding right at this moment. We'd like to prepare for that, and we're looking for big thinking. Thank you.
All right. We're down to 2 judges.